What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, day traders, closet swing traders? Welcome to Wednesday. We have quite the little bullish run at the open. So the CPI numbers came out. I don't think they were amazing, but they weren't bad, and I think that's enough to keep some kind of momentum going. As long as it wasn't really anything negative, I think that was a good, at least a good start. So you do see some of the pre-market moves happening based right around that 8:30 a.m. Eastern time zone. That's the reasoning behind that. I think it just, again, we didn't get any real shock to the system or anything like that. But let's take a look at the SPY. We'll check the SPY out. We'll see where we're at for the day. Really try to get some kind of a pulse in the actual market. Yesterday, let's actually go back to that. So let's go to yesterday. So and Cam's in the chat too. But we were talking about I think right around here in the mentor group that we have. We're like trying to plan out the next day, which would have been yesterday. So right in the zone, we're like, okay, we got a little resistance. We actually drew some fibs. We noticed that there was a little bit of a new higher low at least. So we were able to draw this trend line. All we did was extend that over to the right. And then pre-market yesterday, we had some kind of a bounce. So we actually had some fibs as to where this could go. We were talking about like, okay, the fibs that we discussed yesterday, they have to be changed just because we did make a new higher high and we didn't break that downtrend yet. So we were watching this one very closely. After we drew the fibs, this right here, where we got a bounce was a 50% retrace, right? So we hit that, and then the 618 was a little bit lower. 618 was somewhere, I think it was like 460, 68 or something. I can't remember the exact number, but this is a good solid move as far as not so much looking for reversals, but looking for where the profit taking could come in after this move. Insane banana town move, 456.70-ish or 456.60 all the way up to about almost 468. So again, I think we're still in the bullish direction. This right here was just profit taking. We actually had a nice double bottom. I see today getting some kind of continuation. So I'm looking for further continuation. Again, the next spot, I think this support from this higher double bottom is going to actually, in a longer term picture, be our next stop, and that is going to be high. That is definitely going to be high. That's going to take us up to 478, would be close to at least the last noticeable resistance. And if we could get enough, as long as there's no bad news or anything like that coming into the market, I think we have the ability to retest this. That is a pretty intense uptrend. That's going to take us, I think, relatively higher. So this was a good trap on this day. We had a good monstrous wick on this day. Everybody, I mean, during this move, the world was ending, the sky was falling. By the end of the day, people were able to breathe a little bit easier. And again, yesterday, pretty decent run, not a horrible run, but it was that pullback that I like a lot. So that pullback to me tells me, I mean, even in like an Elliott wave aspect of things, this I think is a 1. This pullback's 2. I'm looking for a relatively bullish day. Pretty much, I think most of the day at open. Maybe we get some kind of initial pullback just because the market is running up pre-market, something like that. But I think the picture kind of looks something closer to this today. As far as the journey, obviously there's going to be some pullbacks along the way. I want to stick a little bit more bullish than bearish, just because I think I think we have a little bit of a trend change, and I think would be a decent spot to get us up to into the end of the day. So I'm looking bullish for the market. Let's take a look at the Qs. As far as the Qs go, I think this is some type of possible 1, 2. This move is some type of a 3, 4, 5. There's your ABC. I'm going bullish on this one as well. So, and again, when I say go bullish, it doesn't necessarily mean like the first 3 minutes of the day, first 5 minutes a day. We might see some random pullbacks. I don't think that's us going bearish. I think that's just profit taking. So be careful of any pullbacks. I think any pullbacks are going to be opportunities to buy. But the Qs look good for some kind of continuation. The SPY looks good for continuation, at least in my opinion. And we'll see. Obviously, the market rings and then everything goes bearish, and they're like, "Damn, what are you telling us? What kind of analysis is that?" But I don't think so. I think we're going to stay a little bit bullish, probably for honestly the next couple days. In all honesty, so we'll see what happens. Let's take a look at Tesla, because Tesla is going to be the we're just doing the 3-minute breakout strategy. So we're gonna just take a look at to where it is. The 3-minute ORB, the opening range breakout play. For anybody not familiar, we're looking for a first candle to come in, and then we're taking it either bullish or bearish, right? It was back tested, and there's a video I believe Matt DeLong put out yesterday. So if you guys haven't seen it, search the Real Life Trading YouTube page. It should be one of the latest videos out there, or put in like 3-minute ORB strategy. That will give you a little bit more in depth into the strategy. The strategy itself is very simple, very basic, honestly, which is why we created it like that. But he has the video out there as far as his back testing methods and things like that. So far for the month, it hasn't been that great. In all honesty, like we've been getting a lot of wicks coming in that would stop us out and run on it. I think the first day of the year we did have a good win on it, and I'm not sure if there was too much success after that. But the strategy is to do the same thing every single day. So we will continue that process. We will take it today, because when you back test, he's run multiple months, multiple back tests, all of that stuff. And majority of the time, I think there was one small losing month. Majority of the time, it has been a winner. So two things: either January is one of those months where we end up maybe with a small loss. It's possible. Any strategy is possible to lose in a certain month. Or the other thing is, I mean, you're testing the entire month. We only really have for this month, really a week and a couple days of some data. So we'll see how that one wants to pull out. The way I prefer it to go today, like my dream setup on the 3-minute breakout is going to be, I'm looking for an initial. I would love to see an initial sell candle on Tesla. Give me a red candle. I've been saying that a lot. Like I like if we're going to go bullish, I want that first candle, 3-minute candle, to go red, and I would be perfectly comfortable. And typically, if it's not that big of a candle, that would help us out a lot too. Again, I think if we pull this chart out, let's flip it to a 30. I think this is our trend. This was our break. This was our retest. I think we're only really starting wave 1 on Tesla. So to me, that tells me, and we're even on a 30-minute. I mean, we're just above the 100 EMA. We'll see if we can hold that before the market opens. This is a 30-minute chart, so we shall see. But I think this is only honestly a wave 1, because that's our initial break. This is our retest. This, I think, is going to be wave 1. We get some kind of a pullback, and then I'm looking for a much bigger move on Tesla to complete wave 3, maybe a little bit of a pullback, and we hit wave 5. So very bullish on Tesla on this break. I think at least we have some kind of a pattern change. We could actually do a fib on this one if you guys wanted to. I'm not going to do it now. But this would be the top here, 12, 10, 21. There's your bottom, 980. I think you could fib this up, and that would probably give us some kind of targets. I wouldn't say necessarily targets for today, because if the market does rip, we'll probably break right through that 50 to 618. But if you're in it, maybe that's a spot you might want to take some partials and see if you could re-add those shares a little bit lower. If you guys have stocks, whether you're in the room or you're live on YouTube right now, if you have any stocks that you guys also wanted to look at, make sure you guys drop those into the chat. AMD looks very similar to Tesla. So again, I'd rather go bullish than bearish on AMD today, but I would love out of the gate any kind of selling. Just give me some kind of selling so that I could take a breakout past that red candle. That would be the way to catch the momentum on those trades. Let me see if a couple of the stocks that we look at every single day is Roblo. Pull up Roblox. Here's another one. The world was ending at 79.02. This is probably the worst company in the world at 79.02, and it was just at $105.30 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days ago. So fairly large move, fairly large swing. I think in the long-term portfolio, it's worth having some positions in Roblox, not go crazy, not like 80% of my portfolio is Roblox, but adding on these dips would give you at least exposure. So if meta is a thing, if meta does pick up, I know they're going through with it. Roblox will be one. Facebook and Roblox are the two main players that are going to be probably the MVPs of the metaverse. And I think buying these dips for the longer term, have some exposure to it in your long term. Obviously, Roblox not been around that long. It's not paid dividends, nothing like that. At least not yet. Maybe in the future. But a lot of the tech guys they don't really do that. But having some kind of exposure, I think you'll find some success by holding it for a little bit. Bomdad says GM. Yep. So GM. Let's go to a daily real quick on this one. You guys tell me what direction does this chart look? I mean, it kind of looks a little bit like the SPY, to be honest. There's that COVID dip moving up, but yeah, pretty flat for a very long time. We had that initial dip and we are rampaging. So a lot of built up pressure came in here. We had the crisis mode when just out of the gate. We are hitting a little bit of resistance right here. This is a weekly chart, but somewhere up in this, I don't know, 63.85 zone. So we're not quite there, but we are hitting highs. I think this is something that could break. So you even see it. This is probably from a different day when either mentor group or being live on the mic, but I drew this little line here. This one is our first little bit of a downtrend, but realistically, you're looking at some kind of almost a bullish pennant pattern. This was our break. This was our attempted retest. And this is probably some kind of a 1, 2, probably starting wave 3. I can see definitely some kind of continuation in this, especially we did break it once. We pull right back into it on this week. I could definitely see some continuation. Let's go to a little bit short of time frame, just in case you wanted to talk day trade wise. For whatever reason, I don't know why. Maybe because it's just a bigger company and might move a little slower. I don't really day trade GM as much. I just think you can get some wilder swings and a little bit more volatility with some of the other guys. But GM, I'd go bullish on, and realistically, probably somewhere around there's our break. There's the break. This is the retest. Let's see if we can get any pre-market levels. Again, if this thing comes in and opens with a red candle, taking the break out of the candle, I love that today on a lot of stocks. Again, if we get any kind of profit taken at open. Otherwise, if you want to take a pre-market, I'd probably take something like a 62.28, maybe with a stop. It gets a little rough on pre-market, but I'd probably have to put a stop 61.33. And if I'm taking that trade, that to me is a little bit wide on GM because it doesn't move that much. So I'd have to wait for some kind of open, wait for another pivot, wait for that opening candle. The 3 minute opening range breakout, I think would be a solid play on this one today, preferably in the bullish direction. So that's GM XSPA with my boy, Dr. Steve. Got a PhD in the markets. Crazy. This one, let me pull up the daily. I'm not too familiar with the stock. Yeah, it's a little bit of it's a true penny stock. I mean, it's anything under $5 in the market is considered penny stock. These are ones that I wouldn't take as a group trade, typically because they could get maneuvered a little bit, pushed around a little bit, and just because they're cheaper. Typically, you have less volume on some of these stocks as well. But longer term picture, it's just kind of trading sideways to flat. There's our last pivot. We were making new highs. So we had a little resistance. We did break, and we're right back into it right now. So I'd almost be looking for something like this. I don't know if this is the most exciting stock in the world. I don't know what this company does. So if you do and you like what they do and you want to invest into it long term, I could see that. I wouldn't take a day trade on this one for me personally. It just doesn't fit my personal criteria for it. Even with this little move. So like the pivot here is 216. If we go back to 216 on this chart, draw that line, extend it over, we're pretty much right. That's a longer term support resistance that we hit there. So I can see this one. You do have a little bit of a moving average. I can see it maybe dropping a little bit before we retest. But this 216 is going to be a very crucial area for it. Otherwise, kind of just trading a little bit sideways. Intel, I do like. I did pick up some Intel on the previous dips for the long term. Man, I want to run YouTube all day, man. I like having both the chat and the YouTube. How do I extend this one just all day? Mark from 9 to 4. Let's go, baby. All right, Intel. So here we have higher lows on a daily chart. We are making higher highs. This one would qualify as a higher high as well. If we have a little bit of a downtrend, this came in. This was the retest. Probably this is a 1, 2. I think most of this move is probably your 3, 4. That's probably your 5. I would say this is, I'm not sure, but I think this is either your ABC, or this could have been like 1, 2, and then in a longer term, this looks like a 3. So I do think we get some kind of continuation. The resistance is going to come above this move. So 56.21. Let's see. 56.21. Let me just see a 5-minute chart for day trade purpose. We did break higher than that. I'd be looking to get in. Again, fairly bullish day yesterday, all things considered. I think bullish is the direction. If you get it as close to $56 as possible, I think that's going to be your best bet. Maybe have a stop close to 55.50 in that range. So you have about a 50-cent risk reward on a day trade, and you needed to move about $1 to get a good 2-to-1 risk reward. So, but yeah, I think you could definitely see some continuation bullish in Intel. Like I said, I did add them. I do have them in my long term. I do add them to my long term. They do offer dividends, and I don't think they're going anywhere. I think they are a little bit undervalued. I know there's some negativity around those guys a little bit. Not so much negativity, but more that AMD and NVIDIA and stuff like that are getting a little bit more advanced than them. It could be true, but Intel has a ton of money, ton of history, ton of power. I don't think they're going anywhere. PayPal. So PayPal is one of those guys that have been absolutely annihilated recently. Realistically, if we pull up a chart, let's do a weekly chart. I know I have some fibs here. I'll remove these fibs. We have very good uptrend here. This has been our uptrend for a while. This finally broke. This was our retest. I can't honestly say that we don't take another dip on this one. We are fighting. I drew these fibs a long time ago, but this from the overall bigger move of things. We broke through that 50. This 195.61 is going to be a rough spot for it. So you see each and every day that's been a rough because now that 50, which should be a reversal spot, is now acting as some kind of resistance. We have not touched the 618. If you're going to take a swing trade and want to try it, I would take right above this 95.61 zone, see if you get triggered in and see if you get some kind of movement. But I think, worst case, this is probably a 1, 2. This is a 3. We're setting up for a 4. I could see one more dip on this one, and then we look to move. That's a longer term picture. Let's go into a 5-minute. 5-minute, we are gapping down a little bit, and the market is ripping. That's not a good sign for PayPal. PayPal does have exposure to crypto. Crypto is down as well. Same thing with Square. So, and even I think Tesla still owns their crypto too. So these guys are a little bit more fragile to the crypto market because they own so much of it, part of their services that they offer. But yeah, the fact that this is gapping down, definitely not a good sign. I'm looking for, if you get a rip, I'm looking to short this one. I'd be looking for a 191.05, something like this. And then that would be a decent spot to look for a short for me personally. Let's see. Christopher says, aloha, coming from Hawaii. We got some Hawaiians in the house. I love Hawaii. So we got Abbott. Let me see the daily. What do I got left? 9 more minutes. Woo! This day is moving already. We have a longer term uptrend there. Is this an all-time high that we just recently hit? Yes, it was. Good trend on it. Buy the dips. If you can dig deep in your soul and just wait a little bit to see if you could get a better price. I kind of like, it depends on how long it takes, but I'd be looking for something around this 126.76. If it takes a little bit longer and this support matches up with here, you're looking at about 128.81, 129. So might still be a little bit high. You could probably get a little bit lower, but I like that longer term uptrend. Let's take a look at a 5-minute. Double bottoms, kind of just chilling, not a lot of pre-market data. So I would need this one to open. It's not something I would place a pre-market. I just don't know if there's any momentum. GM we did look at already. I'm going to move to Microsoft. Yeah, so Microsoft. Let me remove those fibs. It's crazy. Every chart I already got the fibs on. I'm just taking them off. Strong resistance up there. We did get a little bit of a dip. Nice little hammer. Good volume. We gapping up or down today. Currently a little bit of a gap up. I think you could wait for a retest on this one. People were pointing out there was a little bit of an island reversal. So I'm an island boy. And then we have a relatively decent resistance. I think the way this one might play out, at least a little bit further over time, is something like that. So if you're going to make a play, look for that 322 zone. So you have about a $5 or $7 upside to it before we start really pushing to resistance. It would have to break through that. This was a relatively strong channel for a long time. I think that resistance is going to be a little bit tougher to break. So day trade wise, again, if we get some kind of a pullback, because I think the daily chart might be a little bit more bearish, I think you have more time to wait to just try to get your price lower than try to take the breakouts on some of these things. That being said, I could see it. I could probably see it moving pre-market. You're getting up to, you're at this pivot right now. This is going to be a tough one to, not really tough on the break. It's just one pivot. But if you could clear that, that's going to give you maybe targets today to like 321.07. We'll have to see what happens from that point. But that's getting right. We have a couple points of resistance. I don't know if your risk to reward is going to be that great unless you could be a little bit more patient and try to get it down like the 315 zone or something, maybe even a little bit lower. So wait for some kind of pullback on this one for day trade purpose. Otherwise, longer term, I think we broke a pretty significant uptrend. Cam is sharing a chart with me. Let me just see the chart. I'll do a quick screen share on this one too, so we're all on the same page. I believe is this one. So this is the trade that Cam, it's a little tough to see the numbers on this one. Can I zoom in at all? I can't really see the numbers on this one, Cam. I can't even see what stock this one is. Just how that link comes across. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't give you too much analysis on that one. I can't read it. There should be a way in TradingView to share it differently. Oh, okay. You're looking at Tesla. Let me look at Tesla. Tesla. So you're trying to get in at, you're trying to go bullish on it. I like the sentiment. You're trying to catch it at 10.6408. So waiting for that little bit of a pullback. You're going to try to buy it on the pullback. If you get filled, I like it. You have the 100 right there. I think that should be a good support for Tesla. And you're throwing your stops at 10.53. Your stop might be a little too tight. I'd prefer to go maybe a little bit further down. You would need more risk reward on this trade, obviously. So obviously you're going to need this trade to move a bit more by lowering that stop to really get a 2-to-1. But I think you could probably get it closer to maybe 1044.50, somewhere in that zone will be a safer move. And if Tesla and the market does want to rip today, I don't think you'll have any problem making up that extra ground on that trade. All right, we got Dash, and we only got 3 minutes left. Ooh. All right, so we have Dash retest gap. This would be a retest gap, correct, for today. I don't know if this candle happened at the end of the day. No, that was after market. So yeah, this would be a retest down into like 144.45 if you're interested in it. Again, I have fibs on my chart. I couldn't even tell you what this is from. Let me go back to the daily. Why did I draw these things? I was measuring this initial move, so we're about right here. It does look interesting on the daily. Let me just draw a downtrend line. We'll see where we're at. That was probably the initial pivot. This is the one break lower. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's your ABC. We did make this one leg down, which I don't love, but we actually filled the gap. We got very close to filling the gap. I don't think we quite filled this. There is a line over there. It's if you're interested in it, picking it up, yeah, that could make sense. I do like the fact that you broke out of that downtrend. Targets on this one would be roughly about 174, so plenty of room to the upside. Probably sell at least a partial, take your profits, try to get it back on a dip. If not, sell everything. If it's a long term, this is at least a decent spot to look for some kind of entry. You do have two days bullish in a row. I would love to see it kind of come down eventually and retest this 130.38.20 zone to pick it up. Oh man, we only got 1 minute and a half left. PDD. We'll take a look at that one. And I see a firm in the chat too. I'm going to see if I'm going to have time to get into that one. If not, we'll postpone that one. Let me see. Unfortunately, just due to time constraints. Good little support there. Pretty good bounce. PDD. PDD is still tied with China. Chinese stocks have been picking up a little bit more, but it's still going to have that the China risk to it. So just be careful. But again, if you're trying to pick up a couple shares, it's not bad. We did break that downtrend, but every time you would break that downtrend, people are still selling the rips on this. So just be careful getting into that scenario. But again, longer term perspective on things. If like this we could look back 5 years from now and be like, yeah, why don't we just all buy PDD? Why don't we buy the BABAs? Why don't we buy those? Like, it could be a no-brain thing. Wait for this one to come back. See if we can get it. If you want to day trade this thing, look for like 61.37. It's already starting to break down a little bit. I don't love it if it breaks under there. Maybe even look for a little bit lower entry, 60.41, something like that. We have 18 seconds. YouTube, thank you for joining us. Click the links, hit the like and subscribe buttons. But that's my time for today. We do have free week. Check out the reallifetrading.com website. There is a link. You guys could be in the chat rooms with us, the actual live rooms each and every day. And my bell just rang. Round one. Each and every day, you can see the charts. You can trade with us. That will be the week of January 24th. So once again, if you go to reallifetrading.com, I believe there's a banner that pops up that will give you the link to register. Otherwise, YouTube, I will see you guys later.